If you type the word apostate into Google, it will give you the definition: a person who renounces a religious or political belief or principle. This is a term that's often used by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and by Jehovah's Witnesses. To be precise, we're talking about a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness who intentionally chooses to leave their religious organization because they no longer believe it's true. Or perhaps they were expelled and later came to the conclusion that it's not true. From the perspectives of these organizations, when a member does this, it's viewed as both wicked and extremely prideful. The thought is, how dare you think you know better than God's appointed leaders? Is that a fair assessment? Are such ones being prideful? First, I'll address active Jehovah's Witnesses. If a Mormon comes to the conclusion that Joseph Smith was not chosen by God in 1820, and that the 12 men in Utah that serve as a governing body for Mormons are not God's mouthpiece, and upon reaching that conclusion, he or she leaves the religion, was this an act of pride? When he is willing to admit that he has long been duped by a man-made religion, does this come from pride, or does it require great humility? When he is willing to suffer existential crisis and be ostracized by his community and family, is that pride, or is it courage? Now I'll address active Mormons. If a Jehovah's Witness comes to the conclusion that Joseph Rutherford was not chosen by God in 1919, and that the 7 men in New York that serve as the governing body for Jehovah's Witnesses are not God's mouthpiece, and upon reaching that conclusion, he or she leaves the religion, was this an act of pride? When he is willing to admit that he has long been duped by a man-made religion, does that come from pride, or does it require great humility? When he is willing to suffer existential crisis and be ostracized by his community and family, is that pride, or is it courage? Now, both groups will claim that this is twisted reasoning to compare the one group to the other, because both groups are convinced that they are the reestablishment of first-century Christianity. Both groups are convinced that the supernatural claims of their leaders are true and therefore can't be questioned. Both groups will view defectors from other organizations as courageous, honest, and humble, while simultaneously viewing defectors from their organization as prideful apostates. I would ask that both groups not accept the supernatural claims of their leaders simply because those claims have been repeated to you over and over and over, perhaps since birth, maybe for decades. Find the courage to do objective research into these claims. For the research to be objective, it needs to include research into material not produced by the ones making the claims. Do not let fear prevent you from being honest, from being humble. Thank you for watching.